Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today I am finally reviewing a book that has been in my to-review stack, I believe since January? It's been such a long time. And I'm excited to review this. This is the first time I've ever reviewed a choose your own adventure type book. Which one am I talking about? I'm definitely talking about book number 13 in the Give Yourself Goosebumps series, The Scream of the Evil Genie. So first of all, let's talk about this cover, because I will just say I have now some of the Black Spine Give Yourself Goosebumps books that are, the later ones in the series, and I just do not like the covers on those as much as I like the covers on these older ones, the first few that came out. I just love that glittery one. Now, this particular edition of this book is in not such great shape. It's pretty ratty in a lot of ways, but I still love that holographic cover that is on this book. I think it's so awesome. It's so 90s. It's great. So this is a series that came out that is very much just kind of like a choose your own adventure book. A choose your own adventure book is a book that allows you to really choose kind of what you want to have happen in the story. And what's interesting about them is they're often some of the only books that are written in second person. So written with the you do this, you do that, your dog does this. That kind of a style of writing, which is a really interesting point of view, and not a lot of fiction is written that way. So it's kind of interesting to read books like that. Choose your own adventure. Each one, it starts you off, and then you start having choices that you have to choose between in order to figure out where you want to go next in the book. And there are lots of endings. In this particular one, there are 22 endings. And I will just tell you right now, there are 11 what I would consider bad endings, and some of them are rather gruesome, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then some of them are good ones. So there are 11 bad endings, and then there are like 5 that I would call good endings, where the outcome is pretty much okay. Like nothing super bad has happened in the very end of the story. And then there are 6 that I would put in the maybe it's fine kind of category. Like there's something maybe not great that's happened, but maybe everything's sort of okay. So you have 22 different endings in this book. And I think part of the fun of reading these is just trying to get to all the different pages. When I read this, I actually sat down with a spreadsheet and wrote it all out, where things went, what pages had decisions on them, what pages they went to, all that sort of stuff. I kept track of where all the endings were, so that way I could make this review, so you could know. In the Give Yourself Goosebumps series, I will say this does take the idea of a Goosebumps book where there's something spooky, something creepy, sometimes a monster, all those sorts of things, and then it just throws it into the Choose Your Own Adventure blender and serves up the Give Yourself Goosebumps. So you definitely are in for a scare sometimes, but this particular one, I would say, is much more just goofy. This is the 13th book in the series, and there are Goosebumps books that I find are just really silly, and this one is one of them. Now, I will say there are some really interesting different set pieces you can go to. There's basically a few different wishes that you get the choice to make, and then that sends you on branching paths to all different kinds of outcomes. There's one of those paths that's a lot longer than the others and takes you to a really interesting deserted island, which I'll talk about here in a second. The basic plot is that you have found this can of soda that you open, and inside this can of soda is a genie named Jenna. And Jenna, she is maybe not so nice. Maybe she's even kind of mean. She's a meanie genie. So the main character, you have to figure out how you're going to figure out your wishes, make sure that they're said in certain ways so that way Jenna doesn't have any loopholes to put the wish in a bad direction. So it's very interesting that way. I think that R.L. Stine does a pretty good job with choices. Sometimes in Choose Your Own Adventure type books, I've read quite a lot of those. This is actually my first Give Yourself Goosebumps book that I ever read. In Choose Your Own Adventure one, sometimes the choices are really kind of dumb. Like, do you want to go in the haunted house Or do you want to go home? And then you choose go home and the book ends. There's like a lot of choices like that that are just really dumb. And you think, well, this is not really a choice. It's kind of obvious that if the book is called like The Haunted House and it's a choose your own adventure, we're going to go in the haunted house. So this one though, R.L. Stine doesn't really do anything like that. I feel like he keeps all the choices very good, like Sophie's choices that you would be like, well, what should we do? Should we do this or should we do that? Either one seems like it could be good or could be bad. There's no obvious choice, which I really liked that. I think that makes the best kind of choose your own adventures, when there's not something super obvious that you're thinking, oh, well, obviously that's what we should do. So I thought that was really well done. I will say too, Jenna as the villain of this book is really great. I think she brings like a level of menace that is a lot of fun. Like, it's kind of like I said, it's silly, but it's like a fun menace, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you're dealing with a trickster who is going to get the upper hand somehow, and you just don't know exactly how. And she does time and time again. So that made it a lot of fun to read, and a lot of good antics. There are a lot of good sequences, like I said. Like, for instance, going back to the deserted island. The deserted island scenes were some of my favorites. I actually really enjoyed those sections, and I really wanted to explore all the different options on the island, which there are a ton when you get to the island. The island is kind of, in my opinion, one of the biggest set pieces. There's kind of like the island, there's a mall, and then there's like the house. Those are kind of the three biggest set pieces in the book. There are a few other places you can end up, and some very interesting digs at Barney the dinosaur that I thought were kind of funny. Like, R.L. Stine, he definitely, I feel like, snuck in a lot more puns into this. Well, not necessarily puns, but like jabs at things that are in real life, like parodies, where you're thinking, wait a minute, you're basically making fun of Barney right now. Like, this is hilarious. So he does a lot of that in this book, more than in the Goosebumps books. And I think you can kind of get away with it in a sense, because those little jabs are kind of hidden in the choices throughout the book. And you might not stumble upon them unless you do like I did and have a spreadsheet and you're going through very meticulously because you want to read every single outcome. I got to all of the good endings, all of the bad endings, all the maybe endings, and it took me a while to read, actually, because I went through so meticulously, but it was a lot of fun. These kinds of books are a really good time, in my opinion. They're great for, like, you pick it up, you read it for like an hour in the afternoon, and you're just like, yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. I had a good one. I don't think this book is going to be an award winner anytime soon or anything like that, but it was fun. I don't really have any other Give Yourself Goosebumps books to compare it to, though, because I actually haven't read any since reading this one. So I need to read some more of them. I have quite a few now, but I need to read more of them because I am curious to compare them, because I'm curious if any of them actually get kind of scary or if they more stay in this kind of lane of the zaniness that this book has. So if you're a Goosebumps fan, definitely check these out. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with them. If you're not a Goosebumps fan, you're just kind of a casual fan, but you like choose your own adventure books, check them out. These are pretty well done. And if you're not into Goosebumps, not into choose your own adventures, why are you watching this video? So, unless you just really like to watch this channel, which, hey, I'm okay with that. Anyway, so at the end of the day, I would give The Scream of the Evil Genie a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a lot of fun. It's definitely, like I said, not an award winner. It was good. I wouldn't say I loved it. I don't know if I'll go back and reread it, really. I've already reread it, I guess, because I did all the different endings. So I don't know how that shakes out. But at the end of the day, 3.5 stars is where this one is for me. Have you read this one in particular? What do you think? And if you've read other Give Yourself Goosebumps, I'd be so curious to know how you think this one stacks up against other ones. Is there one that I've got to read next? Please let me know. I would love to know. All right, well, until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.